I'm here to shatter the silence. Diddy isn't just a monster, he's an entire machine, and I've witnessed it all. Breaking news, Manhattan actor and human rights advocate George Clooney made an unexpected appearance as a witness on day 16 of the federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Speaking publicly for the first time, Clooney delivered explosive testimony tied to serious allegations against the music mogul, details with the potential to change the entire trajectory of this case. What could be so shocking that George Clooney, a close friend of a former US president, broke his vow of silence, uttering 9 words that could send Diddy to life behind bars? No one could have predicted the witness stepping up would be a name revered worldwide, George Clooney. The man seen as Hollywood's last beacon of morality in a glitzy and glamorous world appeared in court with an icy gaze. Clooney didn't come to play a role. He came to expose a dark truth so chilling it made the entire world recoil. Many have asked, why didn't George speak out sooner? The answer, because he held the tapes, had someone deep inside the system, and because uttering one wrong word could make someone disappear. George survived because he mastered the art of silence in a world where one slip could cost you your life. From secret rooms where no camera dares enter, to extravagant elite parties, from celebrities vanishing without a trace overnight, to red ink threats delivered straight to your door, George Clooney witnessed it all. He didn't speak in riddles, he brought raw memories and a list of names that could shake Hollywood to its core. Why did George Clooney, who once called Diddy the face of darkness in an industry of light, choose to break his silence now? What drove him to face one of the entertainment world's most fearsome powers? This isn't just testimony, it's a declaration of war and the beginning of a journey into truth where light and darkness clash in an uncompromising showdown. I never wanted to stand here, Clooney confessed, but there are truths I cannot carry to my grave. Diddy didn't just hurt individuals, he built a criminal empire, and I'm one of his victims. Silence fell over the courtroom. The court reporter even paused briefly. George Clooney, the human rights beacon, close ally of Barack Obama and Joe Biden, now stood against one of Hollywood's most formidable forces. He locked eyes with the jury, his gaze sharp as a blade, yet heavy with pain. Each word he spoke shattered the suffocating silence in the room. Reporters scrambled to record every syllable. The audience held its breath. Why would a man with everything, fame, influence, global respect, risk it all to expose Diddy? The answer lies in testimony so shocking the world couldn't look away. Diddy didn't just want to strengthen his entertainment status, his ambitions ran deeper. At a white guest-only party in the Hamptons, he told me, "Rap won't change the world. Real power lies in places like the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, or the Gates Foundation. George, you are my ticket into that world." Clooney revealed that Diddy craved rebirth, not as a flashy rapper, but as a socially conscious activist, a global icon standing alongside politicians and philanthropists. And to do it, he needed someone like Clooney, well respected in Hollywood and Washington, as his key. Diddy even boasted he wanted to train a new generation of black leadership in US politics. But Clooney soon realized it was a facade for Diddy's self-aggrandizing agenda. "To catch a beast, you sometimes have to enter its den," Clooney said, so he pretended to agree, only to infiltrate, gather proof, and expose the man behind Diddy's mask. But Diddy wasn't an easy mark. He was a cunning fox, Clooney admitted. For nearly a year, he only invited him to lavish white parties, where A-list stars, tech moguls, and politicians toasted champagne and discussed everything from scripts to global policy. Occasionally, Diddy would slip in a political question, testing Clooney's trustworthiness. Then summer 2013 brought the reveal. Clooney received an unmarked envelope. Inside was a blank white card with GPS coordinates and a single timestamp, 2 a.m., thinking it a prank until a text arrived from an unknown number. "Follow the coordinates, wear black, leave your phone behind." Curiosity outweighed caution. Clooney followed, but prepared. He hid a tiny camera in his watch, a device he relied on for protection. That night, a black SUV whisked him through deserted industrial roads to a famous amusement park's parking lot. "I won't name it," Clooney said, "but millions of families visit there, unaware of what lurks beneath." The entrance was concealed behind concrete, a heavy steel door leading into a cold hallway. The men guarding it, no ID checks, were like living machines. Their eyes were steel. I knew there was no turning back. At the hallway's end, a massive metal door opened to an underground chamber bathed in dim light, the music pulsing like a beast's heartbeat. This was no party, Clooney's voice shook but held firm. It was a ritual, a perverse ceremony. Clooney says he saw the faces of the public there, billionaires, Oscar winners, tech moguls, even government officials, all dressed in trench coats and war masks, signing pledges of silence as if it were a familiar sight. They laughed. They protected each other as if they were upholding a hidden system that existed through silence. I didn't participate in what they did, but I watched, I remembered, and I carry that obsession with me to this day. Diddy's gatherings, says George Clooney, were not simply places to indulge in sexual pleasure, but rather a sophisticated system designed to control and bind. You're not just participating, Clooney says, but more importantly, you're seen participating, standing next to the most powerful people. That creates a pact of silence, a tacit complicity, because if one person breaks, the whole structure collapses. Most attendees, Clooney revealed, were not coerced by violence or threats, but lured by the promise of eternal fame, unbreakable relationships, and access to the real elite, where power and influence are distributed like private property. The first piece of evidence Clooney offered in court was a list of names he stumbled across in Diddy's secret compound. Near the entrance, on a stone pedestal, was a hardcover ledger, a kind of oath book, where those entering had to sign a pledge of secrecy. I didn't sign it, Clooney said, but I did read the first few pages. The names on it, if they were made public, would shock the country. With the alertness and preparedness of someone who has lived in a world of risk, Clooney used a mini camera hidden in the dial of his watch to take a picture of a page in the notebook. A copy of the photo, along with a list of names he remembered, was turned over to the court. They include politicians, movie stars, and hidden big shots in the entertainment industry. I'm not here to put them down, Clooney said, but I need the court to understand that Diddy did not act alone. He was at the center of a network, shielded by the silence of the most powerful people. Next, Clooney presented a second piece of evidence, a series of secretly recorded videos of events that Diddy organized. I know what I'm about to share will shock people, he said. These are the exact videos of what happened behind closed doors. What Diddy called his den. I risked my life to collect this evidence. I couldn't turn a blind eye to the horrors I witnessed. Clooney recounts his preparation for the mission, with the caution of someone who knows the rules of survival in the Hollywood underground. I wore goggles with a tiny camera attached, the kind of device that only those who have gone deep into the dark side of the industry know about. I'm not a spy, but I know how to protect myself, because I know to expose Diddy, my evidence has to be irrefutable. The videos, according to Clooney, were stored on an encrypted hard drive, locked in a safe at his Lake Como home. It was evidence of the depraved world that Diddy had built and controlled. What was filmed was a brutal reality, he describes. The underground rooms were completely soundproofed. No sound was allowed to escape. All the secrets were protected. No one from the outside could imagine what was really going on. Clooney insists that these gatherings were not simply lavish parties. His voice was laced with anger and pain. It was an arena of corruption. He recounts what Diddy calls golden nuggets, often disabled, vulnerable individuals who are turned into props, passed around among powerful guests as part of a twisted pastime. Clooney paints a haunting scene. Attendees, anonymously masked and cloaked, toasting and laughing as the golden nuggets are mercilessly humiliated and abused. To them, it's entertainment. To me, it's a crime, a blasphemy against human dignity, he says, his eyes glinting with disgust. At the center of it all is Diddy, sitting there smirking like a king on a throne of depravity, orchestrating the action as if he were invulnerable. One particular clip brought the courtroom to a hushed silence, broken only by the heavy breathing of the jurors. Clooney describes the scene. Diddy, with icy eyes and an authoritative voice, directly orders a group of masked men to perform a ritual on a blindfolded brick of gold, lying motionless on a crimson cushion in the middle of the room. It was a dark ritual, Clooney says, his eyes heavy with memories. Even though the man couldn't see what was happening, the fear etched on his face, even if only partially, was enough to make him want to vomit on the spot. I had to suppress every instinct not to intervene, he continues, because I knew if I did, I would never get the chance to bring this evidence to light. Diddy was not just an organizer, Clooney asserts, he was the mastermind. The mastermind who orchestrated everything with the meticulousness of a director crafting a dark script. The videos not only documented the atrocities, but also exposed a sophisticated power structure designed to shield, protect, and stifle the truth. The people in that room were not simply thrill seekers, Clooney says. They were billionaires, Oscar winners, elected officials, people who had built their image on kindness, humanity, and faith. But there they were, their true colors, and Diddy knew how to exploit that. And Diddy used the tapes as weapons, he says, to keep people under his control, to make them his puppets. Other footage also reveals shady dealings. Furtive handshakes, envelopes of money-changing hands, whispered conversations about business deals or political deals being greased on the spot. To protect the evidence, Clooney carefully stored the entire tape on an encrypted hard drive, locked in a safe, and hidden away at his Lake Como mansion. I knew that if Diddy found out, it would cost me and my family dearly, he says, his voice dropping noticeably. But I also knew that these tapes were not just evidence against Diddy, they were evidence of a system, a network of power built on silence, corruption, and manipulation. Clooney insists that the people in that room weren't in it for the sheer lust. They joined because they knew that collective silence would protect them all. And it was only when he decided to step forward as a witness that the circle began to crack. Clooney handed the hard drive containing the evidence to his attorney, with strict instructions to keep it confidential. "I'm not doing this for fame or revenge," he said, looking directly at the jury. "I'm doing this for the voiceless, the people who have been turned into pawns in the power play of Diddy and his backers." And when the video was shown to the court, only a small portion, carefully selected for its sensitive nature, the courtroom fell silent. A soft murmur ran through the room, many jurors bowed their heads, some covered their mouths, unable to hide their horror. Clooney stood firm, his eyes fixed on Diddy, who sat silently at the defense table. When the judge sternly asked why George Clooney had not spoken earlier, the atmosphere seemed to stop. Clooney bowed his head for a moment, seemingly struggling with a painful memory, then looked up, his voice calm but firm. "Your Honor, there are two reasons why I kept quiet. First, I was afraid, not just for myself, but for my wife, Amal, and our children. Second, I didn't have the courage to face what I had witnessed." He recounted a fateful night in 2014 when he was secretly filming one of Diddy's freak parties. Out of the darkness, Diddy suddenly appeared, his face cold and expressionless. He didn't say much, just gestured, and then he felt a powerful blow to the head. They made him drink an unknown substance that made his body convulse, choke, and eventually he collapsed. When he woke up, he found himself in the hospital, covered in injuries. His wife, Amal, said a passerby found him unconscious on the side of the road and called an ambulance. "It took me 6 months to recover, but the worst was yet to come." Just a month after being discharged from hospital, Clooney received a strange envelope at his Lake Como home. Inside was a USB drive and a card with the chilling words, "Welcome home, George." Feeling uneasy, he plugged the drive into an offline computer to check. What he saw stunned him. Footage of himself lying unconscious, stripped, doused in alcohol, and stomped on like a toy. Laughter, jeers, and in the middle of it all, Diddy standing there, directing like a horror film director. The final shot of the video was a heart-stopping image for Clooney. His wife, Amal, tied up, her face bruised, her eyes filled with terror. Diddy looked straight into the camera, his voice clear and cold. "Try calling the police, George, and your family will pay." The courtroom was silent, save for the jurors' gasps in the heavy air. Clooney continued that, despite his extreme fear, he immediately called called Diddy, a cold laugh came from the other end of the line. "Do you like my gift, George?" "I begged him to spare Amal and the kids," Clooney choked out. "I was willing to do anything." Diddy then offered a deal. He needed to close a big deal and needed Clooney to connect with some influential figures to clear the way. He promised to spare Amal if Clooney cooperated. In court, Clooney handed over a list of individuals that Diddy had asked to contact, from high-ranking political officials, CEOs of major corporations, to some prominent people in the entertainment industry. Along with, it was a receipt for $1 million wire transfer from Diddy, disguised as a consulting fee. But after the deal was completed, he discovered the horrifying truth. This was not a simple business project, but an illegal arms trafficking ring covered up by fake contracts and powerful connections. Then Diddy sent him a chilling message. "You and I are in the same boat now, George." But that was just the beginning of the darkness. George Clooney revealed that throughout 2014 and 2015, Diddy repeatedly forced him into similar plots, each time accompanied by new threats or videos reminding him of his weaknesses. Every text message, email, or recording that Diddy sent was designed to tighten his control, making it impossible for Clooney to escape. "I kept everything from threatening texts, emails, to conversations with Diddy's henchmen," he said. "There was even a recording of a phone call in late 2015 in which he told me, 'George, you are my property. Never forget that.'" All of that evidence was handed over to the court by Clooney, including videos of meetings with powerful figures as well as sensitive recordings. As soon as Clooney finished his testimony, Diddy's legal team immediately counterattacked. Mark Agnifilo, the lead attorney, stood up in a cold, sharp voice. "Mr. Clooney, do you really expect us to believe that a global superstar like you could be coerced by Sean Combs? Why didn't you call the police in the first place?" Clooney didn't blink when he faced Agnifilo, "Because I know the price of speaking out. I've seen other people destroyed. Careers, reputations, lives. When my wife was threatened, I had no choice." Suddenly, Diddy spoke up from the defendant's table, growling, "George, you're making this up. I never touched you or your wife. This is a drama to bring me down." The courtroom erupted in murmurs, but the judge quickly called for silence. Clooney looked straight at Diddy, his voice as sharp as a knife. "Sean, you know the truth, and the video doesn't lie." Clooney's testimony is not only a blow to Diddy personally, but also a ticking time bomb for the entertainment and political worlds. The names that appear in the notebooks, videos, audio recordings, and transaction data could spark a series of new investigations, targeting politicians, celebrities, and powerful tycoons. But what is the price of the truth? For Clooney, it is the risk of retaliation, isolation from Hollywood, and the constant fear that his family could be targeted again. His testimony raises troubling questions. Where's the line between power and abuse? When celebrities become pawns in criminal networks, who will stand up for justice? The empire Diddy built was not simply the product of a criminal mind, but of silence, fear, and complicity. It thrived because those who knew the truth chose to ignore it, and those who were hungry for fame and fortune sacrificed their integrity to participate. The name of Diddy's mother, Janice Combs, was also brought up. Clooney said she was more than just his mother. She appeared at many white parties where she acted as a mediator between Diddy and influential figures. "She knew everything," Clooney insisted, "and she was part of the machine." The courtroom fell silent, stunned by the accusation, and the haunting question lingered. What would a family do to protect itself, even if it meant covering up for a criminal network? When George Clooney left the witness stand, the courtroom seemed to hold its breath. The man risked his reputation, his family's safety, and countless sleepless nights to spark hope that justice, however belated, might prevail. Diddy's case is not about one individual, but about the entire machine of power. A story about how silence can be abused and how it can turn into complicity. But will justice ever be served, or is this just another chapter in Hollywood's long-running tragedy? The answer lies with you, the people who dare to ask questions, dig deep, and demand the truth. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to follow the next developments in the case. In the next video, we'll reveal more names from the Clooney list and analyze why they could shake up Hollywood and Washington.